$8,000. Most people think that's a budget for problems. It's not. It's a budget for buyers who do their homework. The dealers don't want you to know which vehicles at this price will run another 100,000 miles, and which ones will drain your wallet inside of 6 months. We pulled the Kelley Blue Book data, cross-referenced real-world ownership records, and built this list so you don't have to gamble. 10 SUVs, all under $8,000, and the one sitting at number 1 has an engine so reliable, owners use words like indestructible without exaggerating. Let's get into it. Number 10, Hyundai Tucson, 2010 to 2013. Nobody expects the Hyundai to open a reliability list. That's exactly the point. Most buyers at this price walk right past the Tucson. They remember the old reputation, cheap materials, questionable durability, the kind of car you settle for when you've run out of better options. That reputation wasn't wrong for early 2000s Hyundais, but the 2010 to 2013 Tucson is a completely different machine, and buyers who haven't updated their mental model are leaving serious value on the table. By this generation, Hyundai had overhauled its engineering from the ground up. New talent, tighter tolerances, redesigned powertrain components. JD Power reliability scores climbed steadily year over year. Consumer Report satisfaction surveys reflected something that hadn't been true of Hyundais before. Owners were actually happy with them long term. The 2.4-liter 4-cylinder holds up reliably past 150,000 miles with proper care. Not flashy, doesn't make headlines, but it doesn't give owners headaches either, which at this price is worth more than any feature list. Conventional automatic transmission, no CVT complexity, no dual clutch quirks. Just a proven unit that survives high mileage when the fluid gets changed on schedule. The interior doesn't feel dated or punishing either. Updated tech features, a cleaner dashboard layout, materials that hold up better than you'd expect. At this price, most comparable vehicles feel worn and tired. A clean Tucson in this generation still feels presentable. Here's the real catch. This engine has less tolerance for neglect than a Toyota or Honda. If the previous owner stretched oil changes, you'll feel it. Carbon buildup, accelerated wear. Problems a RAV4 might survive without complaint become real issues here. Maintenance records aren't optional. They're the deciding factor. A clean history Tucson is one of the best deals in this market. One without records is a risk you shouldn't take. One more thing worth saying, the Tucson at this price delivers something most compact SUVs in this budget don't. A cabin that still looks like someone cared. Most $8,000 SUVs have been lived in hard. Faded plastics, cracked dashboards, seats that gave up years ago. A clean 2010 to 2013 Tucson with reasonable mileage still feels usable, presentable, and functional. If you're buying a vehicle you'll be seen in every day, that matters. For buyers who want reliability, reasonable ownership costs, and a vehicle that doesn't embarrass them in a parking lot, the Tucson is the most underrated opening argument on this list. The market hasn't fully priced in how much this generation improved. That's your advantage. But that window is closing as more informed buyers discover what this generation actually became. And speaking of vehicles, buyers misjudge because of looks. The next entry is even more extreme. It looks strange, has a cult following, and hides one of the best mechanical secrets on this entire list. Number 9. Honda Element 2004 to 2008. It's boxy, polarizing. Some people think it looks like a toaster that accidentally drove off a lot, and it may be one of the most mechanically intelligent purchases on this entire list. Here's the secret most buyers miss. The Element shares its entire powertrain with the Honda CR-V. Not a similar powertrain, the same one. Same K-Series 4-cylinder engine, same transmission architecture, same Honda engineering that keeps CR-Vs running past 200,000 and 250,000 miles across the country. What you're buying is CR-V reliability with a price tag permanently discounted because the styling didn't appeal to mainstream tastes. Their loss, your gain. Consumer Reports rated this generation well across its entire production run. These engines don't develop unusual failure modes. They respond to basic maintenance with dependable, predictable performance. Timing chains instead of belts mean one fewer major service item. No replacement interval hanging over you. No catastrophic failure risk from a forgetful previous owner. The interior is where the Element earns its cult status. Wipeable rubber rear floors. Not carpet that traps mud and pet hair forever, but actual rubber you hose down. Rear hinged doors for maximum cargo access. Seats fold completely flat. Honda built this for people who actually use their vehicles hard. Dog owners, campers, surfers, gear haulers. This thing handles the abuse that would permanently ruin other interiors and just shrugs. Check the AC compressor on high mileage examples. The most common failure point: inspect for rust on the underbody, especially on vehicles from northern states. The market still undervalues these. That window won't stay open much longer as the Element's reputation continues to build among smart shoppers. And here's the financial reality. Because mainstream buyers avoided it for years purely on aesthetic grounds, you're buying a vehicle with Honda CR-V level mechanical durability at a price that reflects how unpopular the styling was. Nobody else is doing that trade for you at this budget. If you can get past the looks, or genuinely like them, there is almost no smarter mechanical purchase available in this price range right now. If you want something more conventional, but still want serious value for the money, the next entry financially outperforms both Hondas and Toyotas in this class for one very specific reason. Number 8. Ford Escape, 2009 to 2012. Here's a number that should get your attention. The 2009 to 2012 Ford Escape costs 20 to 30% less per year to maintain than a comparable Toyota RAV4 from the same era. That's not an opinion, that's what repair cost data shows consistently. And at an $8,000 budget, that gap is real money every single year you own the vehicle. Buyers overlook the Escape because it doesn't carry the Toyota or Honda badge. And yes, the Japanese competition has a stronger brand reputation, but brand reputation and actual cost to own are two different conversations. The Escape is genuinely reliable, and the savings show up every time something needs attention. Both engines, the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder and the 3.0-liter V6, are durable, proven units that handle high mileage when maintained. Parts are on the shelf at every major auto parts store in the country. Any mechanic can service one without specialist tools. Labor rates are lower, repair costs are lower, NHTSA ratings were solid, and by 2009, Ford had thoroughly sorted this platform. The honest downside is resale value. Fords depreciate faster, which is exactly why you can find lower mileage examples under $8,000 more easily than RAV4S and CR-Vs. That depreciation already happened to the previous owner. As the buyer at this price, you're benefiting from it, not suffering. Watch for coolant leaks around the intake manifold on V6 examples. Confirm spark plug service history on the 4-cylinder. Both are routine items, but neglected examples age faster than properly maintained ones. Here's the honest bottom line on the Escape. It won't get you compliments in the driveway. It won't impress your neighbor the way a Highlander might, but it will take you to work every day, handle your family's needs reliably, and cost you significantly less to maintain over the years than almost anything else on this list. At $8,000, that's not a consolation prize. That's a smart decision. For buyers who want to stretch $8,000 as far as it will go without sacrificing reliability, the Escape is the financially disciplined choice. But if you want the vehicle mechanics personally recommend to their own family at this budget, the next entry has the actual long-term data to back it up. Number 7. Honda CR-V, 2007 to 2011. Ask any independent mechanic, not a dealer, not someone selling service contracts, which compact SUV they'd tell a family member to buy at this budget. The answer you hear more than almost any other: the 2007 to 2011 Honda CR-V. This isn't brand loyalty, it's pattern recognition built from years of service appointments. The CR-V comes in running, gets basic maintenance, and leaves running. That cycle repeats for 200,000 miles and rarely changes. The engine is Honda's K24, a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder with one of the strongest long-term track records in its class. Consumer Reports gave this generation top reliability marks year after year. JD Power owner satisfaction scores were consistently among the segment's best. Owners report crossing 200,000 miles on oil changes, coolant flushes, and tire rotations alone. That's not luck, that's intentional engineering. The transmission matters too. Conventional automatic, not a CVT, not a dual clutch. A proven unit built to last the vehicle's life with regular fluid changes. In a market where CVT failures on competitors can hit $4,000 to $6,000, the CR-V's conventional gearbox carries real financial value. Interior is practical and well packaged. Low cargo floor, flat folding rear seats, a natural driving position. Honda designed this for people who use it, not just photograph it. The caveat: 2007 to 2009 models can show oil consumption consumption at high mileage. Above 150,000 miles, get a compression test and check the oil level cold before committing. The 2010 and 2011 models addressed much of this. They're the cleaner buy if you have options in your market. A clean CR-V with a verified service history is as close to a guaranteed smart purchase as the used market offers. And that's really the point. At a budget where every purchase carries risk, the CR-V systematically reduces that risk more than almost any alternative. You're not just buying reliability, you're buying predictability, the ability to know reasonably what this vehicle will cost you and how long it will run. That certainty has a financial value all by itself. There's a reason this vehicle shows up on every best used car under X dollars list year after year, across every publication and every mechanic's recommendation. The data keeps confirming it. At the halfway point, we're stepping into midsize and three-row territory. First entry is one most buyers completely overlook until they find out what's under the hood. Quick pause. If this breakdown is helping you shop smarter, hit subscribe. We cover the vehicles dealerships hope stay off your radar. Now back to the list. Number 6. Subaru Outback, 2009 to 2013. Every other vehicle on this list treats all-wheel drive as an optional upgrade. The Subaru Outback treats it as standard equipment, and that one difference changes the conversation entirely for a specific kind of buyer. Subaru's symmetrical AWD comes standard on every Outback, every trim, every year, while CR-V and RAV4 buyers in winter climates pay a premium for AWD or settle for front-wheel drive to stay on budget. An $8,000 Outback already has a system proven in snow, ice, mud, and rough terrain for decades. If you live somewhere with real winters, this isn't a luxury feature. It's a safety feature, and you're getting it without paying extra for it. The 2009 to 2013 generation also directly addressed the issue that damaged Subaru's reliability reputation for years: head gasket failures on the 2.5-liter engine. This generation introduced revised designs and updated coolant formulations that substantially reduced the failure rate. It's not completely eliminated, which is why a pre-purchase inspection is mandatory. Check the coolant for brownish discoloration. Look for any overheating history. Verify coolant was serviced on schedule. On a properly maintained example, the risk is genuinely manageable. What you get in return is a comfortable, composed highway cruiser, suspension tuned for refinement, ground clearance that handles unpaved roads with confidence, a ride quality that feels more expensive than the price tag suggests, practical cargo space with a flat load floor that makes loading easier than most competitors. The honest downsides: Subaru parts cost slightly more than domestic alternatives, and not every shop is equally comfortable with the Boxer engine layout. Identify a Subaru experienced mechanic in your area before you buy. That's not a reason to avoid it. It's a reason to plan ahead. The Outback also offers something almost nothing else at this price does: a genuine sense that the vehicle was engineered for a specific kind of owner in a specific kind of environment. It's not trying to be everything to everyone. It's built for people who deal with real weather, real roads, and real conditions. And it handles all of that without asking you to spend more money or compromise on something else. That focus is rare at $8,000, and it's worth recognizing. For buyers who need all-weather confidence as a top priority, no other vehicle on this list replicates what the Outback offers here. And if 3 rows are what your family actually needs, the next entry is what most buyers never consider, with a driving experience that nothing else in this price range can touch. Number 5. Mazda CX-9, 2008 to 2012. Almost nobody shopping for a 3-row SUV under $8,000 is looking at the Mazda CX-9. They're looking at Highlanders, pilots. The CX-9 doesn't register as a candidate, and that is a documentable mistake. Here's what separates it from every other 3-row option at this price: Mazda actually cared how it drives. While Toyota was building the Highlander to be quiet and Honda was building the Pilot to be practical, Mazda was building something genuinely engaging. The steering has real weight and feedback. The suspension is tuned for response, not just compliance. Getting on a highway, on ramp in a CX-9 feels different from doing it in a Highlander. It feels like the vehicle wants to move. That's rare at any price. Under $8,000, it's almost unheard of. The 3.7-liter V6 was co-developed with Ford, a proven architecture with a large pool of real-world ownership data behind it across Ford and Lincoln vehicles of the same era. Parts availability is strong, labor is straightforward, long-term durability with proper maintenance is well documented, the interior consistently surprises people, materials quality, layout, design, it feels more expensive than the transaction price has any right to suggest. KBB called the CX-9's cabin a class standout when new, and it holds up well. 3 genuinely usable rows. A third row adults can occupy on real distances. Storage throughout that feels designed rather than accidental. Fuel economy is the honest weakness. The 3.7 liter in a larger body returns numbers that will remind you why compact SUVs exist. Plan for it before you decide. Critical maintenance item, transmission fluid, the 6-speed automatic is durable when serviced and notably unhappy when neglected. Documented fluid changes are non-negotiable before you commit to a purchase. Here's what it comes down to for the right buyer. Most 3-row SUVs at this price exist to move people from point A to point B without complaint. The CX-9 does that, and then it gives you something back. It gives you a vehicle you actually want to drive on a long family road trip, on a weekend morning, in a stretch of open highway. Like, it doesn't feel like a box on wheels. It feels like something Mazda actually cared about making. At under $8,000, that's not a given. For a lot of buyers, it's exactly what pushes the CX-9 from a consideration to the decision. For buyers who want 3 rows without giving up the experience of driving, the CX-9 is the answer this segment doesn't know it's missing. Up next, Honda's 3-row answer, with one critical warning every buyer must hear before signing anything. Number 4. Honda Pilot, 2006 to 2008. 8 seats. A proven V6, more storage cubbies than most families know what to do with. The 2006 to 2008 Honda Pilot is what happens when Honda asks, what does a family actually need from a large SUV? Consumer Reports rated this generation highly for reliability. JD Power scores were consistently strong. The pattern is straightforward. Maintain it properly and it keeps going. That's the Honda formula applied to a larger platform, and it works exactly the same way here as it does in the CR-V. The 3.5-liter V6 is smooth, powerful, and proven across a massive pool of real-world drivers. Sufficient towing capacity for a family trailer, comfortable highway performance. Mechanics who work on these regularly describe it as a clean, straightforward unit. No unusual failure tendencies, no expensive proprietary components. Inside, the Pilot earns its family hauler status decisively. 8-seat configuration with a genuinely usable third row. Storage compartments everywhere. Center console, door pockets, underseat areas, overhead console. Honda designed this interior around the reality that families carry a lot of stuff and need places to put it. Minivan converts who switch to the Pilot often cite the storage as the feature that won them over. Now, the warning, and it is not negotiable. The 3.5-liter V6 uses a timing belt, not a timing chain. A timing belt that snaps at highway speed causes catastrophic, irreparable engine damage. You don't fix it. You replace the engine or the vehicle. Before purchasing any 2006 to 2008 Pilot, confirm with physical documentation, not a verbal assurance from a seller, that the timing belt has been replaced. Service interval is roughly 105,000 miles. If records don't show it and the odometer is past 100,000, budget $600 to $900 for immediate replacement. It is not optional. With that confirmed in writing, you have one of the best 3-row family haulers available at this price. And here's the emotional reality for the buyer standing in front of one of these on a lot. This is the vehicle that took families on road trips, handled soccer practice for years, ran 150,000 miles without drama, and still has life left in it. Honda built it to go the distance. The question is just whether the previous owner did their part. Confirm the timing belt, pull the service records, get the inspection, do those 3 things, and the Pilot rewards you with Honda's version of what a family vehicle should be, which by almost any measure is one of the best versions the used market has to offer. But the next entry is where Toyota's 3-row reputation was truly built, and it's the vehicle that defined what reliability in this segment should mean. Number 3. Toyota Highlander, 2004 to 2007. There's a short list of used vehicles where experienced buyers and mechanics agree without argument. The 2004 to 2007 Toyota Highlander belongs on that list. Consumer Reports placed this generation among the most reliable 3-row vehicles of its era. Ratings built from real owners reporting real long-term experience, not manufacturer claims. J.D. Power scores reflected the same. And in the used market, where years of additional real-world use either validate or disprove those ratings, the Highlander's reputation has held up completely. The 3.3-liter and 3.5-liter V6 engines are the foundation. Running cleanly past 200,000 miles on regular maintenance is a common outcome for this powertrain, not a fringe result. Toyota built these engines with tolerances and materials calibrated specifically for longevity. Owners who followed the maintenance schedule report decade-plus ownership without major mechanical surprises. What catches most buyers off guard is the ride. The Highlander is genuinely quiet, composed. It absorbs highway imperfections without the cabin noise and movement that show up in older trucks and budget SUVs. Inside, it feels more like a refined passenger car than an $8,000 used vehicle. Toyota originally positioned this against luxury SUVs, and at this price, that refinement level becomes one of the best deals in the used market. 3-row seating, comfortable long-distance performance, fuel economy that competes well for a V6 in this class. The practical challenge? Everyone who knows used cars knows this. Clean examples with documented service history move fast. When you find one, get the pre-purchase inspection scheduled immediately. Confirm the cooling system, transmission fluid condition, and brake lines with an independent mechanic. And don't let anyone pressure you into skipping that step. If the seller resists an inspection, walk away. A vehicle this desirable doesn't need a buyer who skips due diligence. A seller who won't allow one is telling you something important. The patience it takes to find the right example is the real cost of this vehicle. But when you find it, and the records check out, and the mechanic gives it a clean bill, you're buying something that will still be on the road when most of its competitors have been recycled. That's not an exaggeration. That's what Toyota Highlander ownership history actually shows. It's worth paying. And yet, even the Highlander finishes second. The number 2 on this list is the compact that mechanics recommend without hesitation, for one very specific and very well documented reason. Number 2, Toyota RAV4 2006 to 2010. When mechanics talk among themselves about which used SUV they'd actually put a family member in at this price, not what sounds impressive, but what they genuinely trust. The 2006 to 2010 Toyota RAV4 comes up more than almost any other answer. The reason is the engine. The 2.4-liter and 2.5-liter 4-cylinder units have built a track record that's genuinely difficult to overstate. Consumer Reports owner surveys show these engines performing reliably past 200,000 miles as a regular outcome. J.D. Power long-term data confirms it. Real-world owners report crossing 230,000 and 250,000 miles on original engines with nothing beyond scheduled maintenance. Documented at scale. That's not luck. That's Toyota engineering something to outlast the competition. The philosophy behind the engine matters. Toyota didn't make it complex. They made it durable. Straightforward architecture, proven solutions over emerging technology, fewer failure points, lower repair costs, mechanics who can service it without specialty training. In a vehicle that may visit multiple shops over its life, that simplicity compounds in value every year. Compact footprint, easy to park, reasonable fuel economy, practical interior that holds up at high mileage. The RAV4 is calibrated entirely for low drama ownership. Running an engine low on oil consistently causes accelerated internal wear, not a minor issue. Before buying these model years, check the oil level cold, request a compression test, and watch for blue-tinged exhaust on startup. The 2009 and 2010 models address this and are the cleaner buy when you have options. Clean RAV4s with legitimate service records move quickly at this price. And here's what this vehicle ultimately represents at this budget: the closest thing to a sure thing the used car market offers. And the engine, when treated properly, will outlast most of the competition by a significant margin. That combination of predictability and durability is what mechanics are really recommending when they point family members toward a RAV4. They're not just recommending a car, they're recommending peace of mind. But the number 1 spot goes to something the RAV4 can't match on pure mechanical toughness. An engine with a mileage reputation that sounds like exaggeration until you read the owner accounts for yourself. Number 1, Chevrolet Tahoe/GMC Yukon 2004 to 2006, 300,000 miles. Not an outlier, a realistic expectation, one that comes up repeatedly in owner communities, in mechanics experience, and in the used car data that tracks which vehicles actually stay on the road. The reason is one engine, the 5.3-liter Vortec V8. This is not a complicated engine. And that is precisely the point. The Vortec 5.3 is a pushrod V8 built on an architecture General Motors had been refining for decades. No turbocharger systems, no dual overhead cam designs with expensive high mileage failure modes. Just a large displacement, naturally aspirated V8 with proven internals, cast iron block construction, and thermal tolerances that let it keep running long after more complex engines have given up. Mechanics describe these as among the easiest high-mileage units they service. Parts are universally available, not just at dealerships, but at every major auto parts retailer in the country. Labor is straightforward and affordable because the engine is familiar to virtually every mechanic who works on American vehicles. When something eventually wears at 200,000 plus miles, the repair costs are manageable in a way that European or Japanese full-size alternatives rarely are. Beyond the engine, truck-based, body-on-frame construction built for heavy repeated use, real towing capacity, 8-seat configuration with genuine room across all 3 rows, cargo space that handles equipment, luggage, and oversized items without creative packing, a platform engineered as a working tool, not a lifestyle statement. At under $8,000, the original owner already absorbed the full depreciation hit. What typically remains at this price are worn consumables, brakes, shocks, tires, not structural or powertrain problems. A properly inspected Tahoe or Yukon represents one of the most durable vehicles available in the entire used market at any budget. Fuel economy is the honest cost. The 5.3-liter V8 in a large body is not efficient. Plan for it. Urban commuters who fill up frequently will feel the difference. But for highway driving, towing, large families, or heavy cargo use, this is the #1 pick because when you need a vehicle to simply keep going, through high mileage, through hard use, through years of real ownership, few vehicles at this price or any other have earned the kind of documented, consistent, multi-decade reputation that the Vortec V8 Tahoe and Yukon carry. 10 vehicles, 1 budget. The right answer depends entirely on what you actually need. For compact reliability, the RAV4 and CR-V are the benchmarks, earned through data, not marketing. For 3-row capability, the Highlander and Pilot are hard to beat on clean examples. For sheer mechanical toughness, the Tahoe and Yukon are in a class of their own. Here's the single most important takeaway. Every vehicle on this list can be a great purchase, and every one can be a disaster. The difference is the inspection. Maintenance history matters more than the badge. A neglected RAV4 is a worse buy than a well-maintained Tucson. Get the pre-purchase inspection, pull the records, verify the specific issues we called out for each model. That step is the difference between a smart $8,000 purchase and a $3,000 repair bill in month 2.